Welcome back to Prompt Circle, where we discuss real-world applications of generative AI. In today's video, we're continuing in our Getting Started with OpenAI Assistants API series. In the last two videos, we looked at retrieval and function calling, the two tools that we had given our internal HR help desk bot, which allows them to answer questions based on information we provided and also be able to create tickets when it doesn't have a response. Now we're looking at a third tool that you can give your assistant, which is called the code interpreter. The code interpreter simply gives your assistant the ability to run code on the fly. That's essentially what it does. So this could entail you providing your own scripts or the assistant writing a script and then running it on the fly. So this is a very, very powerful tool if utilized very well. So we're going to be looking at an example of how to give our assistant some code that it runs whenever a particular question comes up. And in our example, we're trying to take a look at the take-home salary of a particular person who's asking the question after their deductions. And we wanted to use a take-home salary calculator to create a script that the assistant can run on the fly whenever a question related to that comes up. So I'm going to show you a very quick example right inside the assistant, and we'll also take a look at it inside Slack as well. So we do have a salary calculator file which we have uploaded right here and given to our assistant. I'll step through the file just so you see what's in there, but basically the file takes in your location and your annual salary, and it does a calculation to provide you back with an information about your take-home salary. So here I'm going to say something as simple as I am living in Ottawa, Canada, and my take-home salary is $50,000 annually, and I would like to know what my take home would be after deductions, and please show me a pie chart describing the breakdown of both the salary and the deductions. Okay, so right here, I'm basically asking that question and what I expect this assistant to do. And as you can see directly, it does go straight to code interpreter. So remember, we had a knowledge retrieval piece in here. We have a function here, but it's looked at this question and determined that this question is more related to something where it needs to run the code interpreter. So in the code interpreter, it's going to be taking my salary calculator script, which I have provided to it. It's going to be using that script to first and foremost do the calculation, but then it's going to be using its own abilities as well to create a graph, a pie chart in this case, of those breakdown using a script that it's writing on its own. So it's using these two scripts, combining them to solve this particular problem. So what we're going to expect is one, the breakdown of the take-home salary and deductions, and we're also going to see a pie chart which is going to be provided to us. Okay, so we see here it does say, okay, it does go in and does the calculations, and it writes out the entire code, including the code that I have provided for it, and it's also providing a breakdown of the salary, as you can see right here. So basically using the script and then providing us this information as well as a pie chart, as you can see right here, which is pretty amazing. And you can see the breakdown of information as it's mentioned right here, talking about the breakdowns and the deductions and all of that stuff. So, all right, let's say we want to run this example where we say something like this in Slack. We're saying my salary is 60K. I live in British Columbia. I want a pie chart showing my take-home salary and deductions. So when we run this, we're going to see the response that we get back. All right, so there we go. So here is a pie chart showing the breakdown of your annual salary in British Columbia, the take-home salary, as well as the tax deductions. And as you can see here, we also have an image showing us this. So you could build exactly the same concept inside Slack. I'm going to be showing you some of the tweaks that I have made to make this possible. Now, interestingly, I haven't made any changes to the prompt since the last time we made those changes for function calling, and yet it's able to sort of do this on the fly. Now, my advice for you would be, like, if you're going into production, try as much as possible to write the prompts to explicitly discuss things that you want your assistants to do, to make sure it is kind of behaving exactly in the way you want it to behave. Like, for instance, you can decide when you're building chats, here's how you should build the chats. These are the chats I expect, and things like that. Now, keep in mind that you can also use that information, for instance, to generate PDF files, PPTs, and all of that stuff. So this assistant becomes like super, super powerful, much more powerful than you can imagine. So let's go look at the things that I have done. So the first thing is to upload this salary calculator file into my assistant. Now, the salary calculator file, like I said, is a very, very simple function. I'm going to add it to the GitHub repo. This is a function that basically does calculate tax. But it basically uses information, your federal tax, the provincial tax brackets, and all of those things. So I provided just a few examples here for it to be able to do this. It understands your CPP rate, EI rate, and all of that stuff. So it just understands how to do like the various things that you need to do when you're calculating for this, and we're providing it information about how this works, and we're also giving it an example usage here so it can understand exactly what it should use when it is running this particular script. Now, once we're done with the script and we've uploaded it, the next thing that we've done is that we've added just a few updates to the way our assistant works. So before now, we're just checking just for messages, text messages. So we would go and look at content.text. So that was the only thing we're looking at. We went to look at the text value, and that was fine. But messages can contain images or contain files. These files are appended as file IDs. So if you go into your API for assistants and go into messages, one example of the message content you can have is either text, as we can see here, which is what we've been using for now, but there's also image files or file, right? So you could have different image files which contain a file ID, and that's what we're looking for. So whenever a message comes in, what we're doing with our function currently is to check to see if that message also contains an image file. If it contains an image file, we are retrieving that image file and storing it as part of the response that we're providing back. So we've just made some modifications to the code that we had earlier on, which is going to be in the GitHub repo, so you can take a look at it. But basically what it's doing is just adding one extra check to see if the image file is also included as part of what's returned. Now, we take that image file, they're in bytes, and we convert them and add them into memory. We basically also convert them into memory files, which we can then upload directly to Slack. So on the Slack side, basically what we're doing on the Slack side, if we're going to Slack specifically, is to check if the response that we get back from our process thread with assistant contains an image. If it contains an image, if there are files in there, we check in there to see if there are files. If there are files, we're basically using the files upload function to upload these files to Slack, and we're passing the information that is coming back as a response inside the initial comment value, which would actually add the message to the file that is being uploaded. So in scenarios where there are files involved, we will upload that file. In scenarios where it's just text, we'll just respond with just text. So that is the only change we've made here. And like I said, it's going to be available in the GitHub repo for this particular series, so you can build these tools that we've built on your own easily. I'm really excited to see how you can use assistants to build different types of tools in your system, in your organization, in your departments, in your teams. Surely there are so many assistants that you can build, whether it is just for simple retrievals, running, communicating with other systems and other tools, or running some code for you on the fly, as we've seen with Code Interpreter. So in the description, tell me what you're intending to build. I'd love to hear about it. If you need any help thinking about building these types of tools, if you run into any issues, things like that, feel free to reach out to me. And if you enjoy this particular content, feel free to subscribe as well, and put that notification on. We do release videos quite frequently, usually on a weekly basis, sometimes more than once a week, where we talk about different tutorials, different ways that you can implement some of these LLM solutions into your actual production environment using tools like Slack, Microsoft Teams, and the rest. Until next time, have a great one. Bye.